is coming to the USA.
I'm going to start today with taking off my sweatshirt because I'm too warm. Thank you. Okay, so this is Amy's list, which I always download on Saturday night. Download, oh, I'm getting so modern. I can't even believe I said that. And her first paragraph is only one sentence long. She always writes a few paragraphs before she goes ahead to all the different points. And her first paragraph is about last week. Generations from now will mark this week as the moment Americans realized we were losing our country as we have known it. I almost have nothing more to say. I mean, you all know about the Supreme Court decision today. What's that?
Well, basically, they are not allowed to inform patients of their abortion rights. Yeah, they ruled on that 5-4.
It's and this is Mitch McConnell's. This is Mitch McConnell's doing. He has, you know, as awful as Trump and Stephen Miller and all of them are, Mitch McConnell has enabled all of this.
I couldn't agree more, and this is why they fought so hard during the end of the Obama administration to block his Supreme Court nomination. They fight so hard because they have a plan, and everything fits into their plan, and they fight for it tooth and nail, whether it's legal, illegal, on the borders of legality, and you just see it fall into place. It's incredible. So we need to point that out to everybody, how their plan is falling into place and how we need to resist it, how they do their talking points. And like right now, Trump's talking points are, see, I told you so, this has always been legal. And so the progressive group should be up in arms. Dianne Feinstein should be saying, no, you've had to change this 3 or 4 times to get it passed, and you only got it passed because of your dirty tricks.
The Democrats are still adhering to civility. There is no civility. Yes. There is no civility. There are just atrocities, abominations, and the Democrats, I'm telling you, oh my God, open your goddamn mouths and say what really needs to be said.
I think Maxine Walters had it right. I believe that we should stand up and fight. We should protest every move that these motherfuckers make because they don't deserve to be a part of our country. They don't deserve to be in leadership positions. They don't deserve to ban people from our country. We have the right to stand up against them, and we shouldn't be civil. We should speak out. We have that right as Americans. We should be free. We should be allowed to be free. We shouldn't be held back.
Have that right so far, but it's everything that's happening is exactly how it went in Nazi Germany, down to infestation. It's all exactly. And you know, I spent yesterday, I worked yesterday, but in the back of my mind and somewhere in me while I was working, and I was fully focused, don't think I was compromising my work, but how I yearned for one of my patients to talk about the children, etc. Only the last one of the day did. But I was working on having right relationship to living in a fascist country. And I realized that in some little part of me, being an eternal optimist, I keep thinking, or I kept thinking maybe until today, that there's going to be, there's like, I hold it almost energetically. It's not in my mind because I know what's going on, but almost like, you know, like all things must pass. Like you're depressed, but then you get undepressed, or you have a sickness, but most illnesses pass. And I sort of have that in my system, and yet I don't really see it. And, after what we see of our Supreme Court, I feel like it's a done deal. I'm sorry to be a bummer here, but I feel like it's a done deal. And I know Joy's after show on Saturday, where she just talks in live stream on Facebook, she said she's really, really encouraging everybody to remain anguished about what's going on and to open your eyes and see it. And she talked about visiting Cuba some time ago and how she said it took 2-3 days. She said you walk around and people are going to work and they're doing this and they're eating in restaurants. And it took 2 to 3 days to feel that she was in an authoritarian environment, who was watching them, just various things. And then she said she really wanted to leave. And that's what's happening here. And whether or not, we're being watched right now, which we probably are, we will be. And I don't know. I don't know how to prepare for this. If anybody has an idea of how to prepare for this, other than continuing to speak up, speak out, and resist, and remain with your eyes open, and as also at the protest on Saturday at formerly known as Justin Herman Plaza, they've got to change that name. Christine Pelosi said, you must remain anguished, just like Joy said. And of course, most people don't and can't. And somebody called our culture overall the ostrich culture. And it's unfortunate because I think most of these people walking by, it's not on their mind. They're not really aware that fascism is being locked in. Masha Gessen was on whose show? Joy's show on Saturday. Did you see that? And she said, we have a fascist president. We don't yet fully have a fascist government. Didn't she say something like that? But I tell you, I think we're closer than she was. I don't know. I just speak. And, I don't know if it was in that one or I saw an old Masha Gessen where somebody said, well, what can we do? And she said, I don't know. She said, I left, because she left Russia.
But with what the Maxine Waters did, and when she spoke out, she was outplayed by Trump. He uses it to his advantage, and no one can outdo him when it comes to outrage. And they painted her as just like they painted Pelosi and anyone else that speaks out against him. He has it perfected, and he's playing to his base. But they're not budging, and he's going out with these rallies, and I can't even listen to him anymore when he speaks. And this morning I had to turn the TV off altogether. As soon as that Supreme Court decision I just was so sick. Going back to what happened with McConnell, and then all leading up to this, and where does it go?
I just wanted to say they've been practicing their bully messaging ever kindergarten and probably preschool. That's why the super rich want to be separated. That's why they want charter schools and public schools, because they want to live in their own little world, and they want everybody else to end up being their slaves.
And I'm stunned. I have to say, after I heard that this morning about the 5-4 vote, I've been scrambled ever since. I sat down to have my tea and go through my Amy's that I had marked, and I couldn't even. I couldn't. I don't know if it's PTSD. I don't know what it is, but it's such a blow. And but of course, we knew all these things that were going to go to the Supreme Court were going to be voted that way by the garbage on the Supreme Court. So, And I'm not overlooking what's happening with the children, or what isn't happening with the children. And I don't know if you saw Rachel last night, but somebody who was working in one of the places in New York where they had put tons of these children that have been separated from their mothers and their fathers, with way understaffed to care for them, not that they can hug them or touch them or anything, these little kids. She videoed and took pictures. She videoed a little 6-year-old girl crying, and she talked to her and asked her questions and snuck the video out, and then quit. And her lawyer now is Michael Avenatti. And like Rachel said, this is how it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be whistleblowers. Because now after that happened, they're going to go into all these military bases as quickly as possible where nobody has any right to enter a military base. And it is significantly systematic, I must say. I've always said that. It's, but anyway, she said with the kids, it's going to be up to the whistleblowers. Michael Avenatti now has 60 mothers or parents as clients pro bono, 70 children. He said that listening to the parents' stories was the most difficult thing he's ever had to do as a lawyer, he said, and maybe in my life. Oh, God. So I do have a good story about a mother who sued. Where's the lawsuit? I think it's number 55, 56. Yeah, okay. On Tuesday, the Daily Mail reported Beata Mariana de Jesus, oh my goodness, she has more names, Mejia, a Guatemalan national seeking asylum in the U.S., sued 6 federal agencies and 10 top officials, the first legal challenge to the regime's policy. Officials forcibly separated her from her 7-year-old son after they crossed the border and refused to tell her his whereabouts. Mejia was never indicted for illegally entering the country. On Friday, Mejia was reunited with her son at Baltimore Washington International, more than a month after they were detained and separated. But Joy went in yesterday. She went in one of these places, and last night she tweeted that she can't get the faces of the children out of her head. That she called every one of her children to say goodnight, and was feeling so blessed that she knew where her children were, and that she can't shake it. I'm so grateful for people who are willing to keep their eyes open and hurt because of this. It's absolutely essential. I think that Saturday, everybody knows about Saturday, right? The 30th. I think that should be more than it was going to be before what happened today. I think it's going to be really, really something, and something we all need, and something that needs to happen. So apparently there are two beginning places for the rallies before the march. One is Dolores Park and one is Civic Center. 10 a.m., right. Oh, 10 at Dolores Park, 11 at Civic Center. Well, that may determine for me I can stay in bed a little longer. Oh, no, but I'm going to...
That's when the march should be here by 11, so it's just assemble at Dolores Park and march to Civic Center.
I see. Oh, I see. Oh, okay, so, good, okay, thank you. Do y'all have that? Yeah.
Is the march going down Market Street?
Yes, it's going down Market Street. Now, Steve Rapport is the one heading this, and I know he said when we saw him at the explosive, fantastic protest at ICE last Tuesday afternoon, he said he would really prefer that the whole rally the march end up at ICE rather than at formerly known as Justin Herman Plaza, but but nobody's calling it that yet. Is it officially?
Some of the notices said that.
Okay. I'm sorry, what? She said Embarcadero Plaza now, which is what it's supposed to, the new name, so, but on everything they've been putting JH Plaza, and I refuse. But anyway, I told him, well, why don't you get a permit to do that? Because, you know, I think it's better. I don't know if he is or not. I hope so, yeah. Because I think it's great if we end up at ICE. Yes, sorry.
Well, we're expecting between 5,000 and 10,000 people, so that's why they want to keep it in the plaza, because our sound system is going to be massive, so that's where everybody will hear. And now we have so many people that want to talk. Hopefully it'll run over and get to go about 2 hours. They were trying to fit it in first into an hour, then an hour and a half. But I'm thinking 2 hours because we have so many great performers, singers, speakers. Yesterday, the San Francisco Labor Council officially endorsed the march and rally. They're going to send speakers, immigrant speakers from Unite Here and the Janitors Union. And so we just have the most amazing groups of people that are going to be talking. And the most amazing thing of all, I let the organizers know that what's really important to me is uniting the different movements and people's movements. And I think the best person to do that would be somebody from Move to a Man, and getting to the root cause of our power loss and the oligarchy's power gain through their corporate constitutional rights. And they agreed, and so now Keon Bliss is coming from Sacramento. He's an African-American, incredible spokesperson, and he's going to tie everything together and the movement that we're making to fundamentally change the power balance in this country.
So are you saying that all that's going to happen at Embarcadero Plaza?
Yeah, Civic Center.
No, which?
Civic Center.
Oh, before the march.
No, after the march.
Then at
Before the march, and then it ends up at Civic Center, and then we'll be at the top steps of City Hall.
yeah, no, you're not listening to my question.
The march from there down.
Goes to Embarcadero Plaza. Now, where is all this happening with all these speakers?
So, okay, so
All I know is that so far, what we've been able to come up with is that it starts at 10 o'clock at Dolores Park and ends up at Civic Center at 11. That's where all of our sound system will be set up. The roads will be closed, and the stage will be at the top of the steps of City Hall, and then the roads in front will all be closed at 9 a.m., and we'll have dancers on the sidewalk and street as the march is arriving between 11 and 11:30, and the first actual speakers will be at 11:30 right in front of City Hall.
So we don't need necessarily to end up at Embarcadero Plaza. Sounds like we could end up at ICE, because at Embarcadero Plaza, there's not a plan for anything. The big plans for speaking are at Civic Center.
yeah, that's all I know about it.
Well, no, but that's good. I want to get it straight. Okay. Yes.
So there's a day of action today. It's already happening, and it already has received news coverage. And there's over 100 protesters at the detention center in West County, which I believe is in Richmond. So that's going on today until 7. So all folks who are upset over this and can make it, I'm driving over there. So if anybody wants to join us, they can. And by the way, our friend's here.
Hey, Tom. Come on down. Oh, I'm shocked and horrified. The Gay Men's Chorus is performing at the what? Saturday. Okay. Do you think it's likely?
I have no idea. That's mandatory.
Yes, okay. You're just a voice.
I will be there.
Okay, here. Oh, by the way, I hear that Sean has been hired by London.
Yes, he
You don't want to hear my commentary when I said it, do you?
No.
Okay.
So just a heads up, guys. I have to head over to jury duty at back at 1:30. So in the idea of expediency. I don't know yet. Oh yeah. But yeah.
Want me to tell you what I say so I don't have to be on a jury?
Yeah.
No, I say I grew up in a family of lawyers and I know all their tricks and they can't get rid of me fast enough. Okay.
I'll be surprised if they do.
Well,
We don't know.
We'll see.
We don't know. Okay, so who has something for, this is my last day here, by the way.
What?
Yeah. It's not, it's, I don't know yet, but something where there's more fight and this isn't doing it for me now.
Okay.
It's, even though I love you and I hate to leave you. I told everybody last week that my heart isn't in it here. That sending things through Diane is to what? To the Republican fascist regime. I'm not with it anymore. I need something more. So, yeah.
Chase after.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so who has something for Tom?
Well, there are very many things. I'll pick a rather uncommon one, maybe. The Farm Bill and the SNAP program. Hopefully she'll support that. Yes. Next.
Yeah, and I would add to that the little bit of the pesticide regulation giveaway in the Farm Bill, which is devastatingly dangerous. I mean, the science-based approach shows just how bad this stuff is in terms of ineffective, expensive, and much less healthy for your agriculture. And to say, oh, but it's good for business, says we can externalize the cost in terms of worse nutrition, toxicity-related hazards to farm workers, and incidental drift onto nearby schools and farming communities, because those people don't really matter. And I'm just appalled that the representatives from the large farming districts don't seem to understand that. It's a weird discontinuity.
So this is buried in the avalanche of news that we have been receiving lately, but there are 20 states that filed a lawsuit to repeal Obamacare and get rid of protections for individuals with pre-existing conditions. A lot of folks are not aware of this, but the administration is backing it, and supposedly, beforehand, they didn't have a lot of a movement in terms of legal power, but now that the administration is backing it, they might actually have some mobility. What is it that your office can do to keep that from happening?
So the lawsuit you're referring to having to do with the DOJ not defending the law in court. So the case will make its way through the court. What our office can do on the matter, not much, in as far as the judiciary is concerned. But as ranking on judiciary, she has the ability to ask DOJ and clarify positions as to why exactly they're not going to be defending the law. So that's something that I can definitely escalate up the ladder, to ask our office to essentially exert its power over DOJ with regards to the case. But to the case moving throughout the court, there isn't much that we can do.
Any way that you can get her to ask other Democratic leaders to be on the same page in terms of grilling, in order to delay, hold this back, keep this from happening? Because this is a major issue that's being buried, and a lot of people are not aware that this is happening right now. So.
No, 100%. One thing that when I met with the folks in Sonoma Indivisible last week, was encouraging them was to keep this at the forefront of calling offices and keeping an awareness of it. Like I said, it's moving through the judiciary. There isn't much that a legislator can do to comment, or not to comment on it, but to affect the outcome of it. No, but I think that delaying it, no, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have an impact on the actual movement of the case itself. But I think that folks know essentially the root of this case. They're saying that because the individual penalty for the individual mandate was reduced to 0, therefore it's no longer a tax, and therefore the whole law is unconstitutional. That's what their kind of rationale or their grounds for moving this case forward is what that would impact the pre-existing conditions. It's you remove one peg from the stool and the whole thing collapses. So I think what y'all did last year with the engagement of the community, of everybody recognizing whether it was Medicaid or pre-existing conditions or what have you, there was such an awareness of folks that repealing this law would impact so many people. So I think that kind of recognition again and letting folks know to call their legislators, even if it is nothing that the legislator could do, that their constituents feel very passionately about the issue is important.
Thank you.
So I just want to get back to what to me is one of the most overwhelming items today or this week. The horror of the week is not something I thought we'd be dealing with, and that's the combination of the court upholding Trump's Muslim ban and the continued debacles at the border, the failure of DHS and HHS to actually implement any basic management strategies so they know what they're doing. The failure to acknowledge the very real drivers of refugees from Latin America, where I seem to recall that the U.S. exported MS-13 as intact American gangs so they could establish overseas operations back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, I forget which. But I would love to see Senator Feinstein get together to try to draft some clear messaging about a comprehensive plan from the Democrats to deal with refugees and to at least get people talking about legislation to reverse this appalling ban on Muslims and to hold the federal agencies under this administration accountable for what comes close to criminal negligence in the way they have dealt with the children and parents at the border.
So one of the definitely will. One of the things about her bill, the Keep Families Together Act, is to require the Department of Homeland Security and HHS to develop a plan for family reunification. So that is a component of it. And the only reason I bring that up is because last week, before we had met with Sonoma County Indivisible, was when he that morning announced that he was going to sign his executive order. But that by no means is a replacement for the greater issue at large. So what we were telling folks is to, whether it's Senator Feinstein's bill or Congressman Nadler's bill, the Keep Families Together Act addresses some of the more overarching concerns.
Yes, and I want to be very clear. I absolutely appreciate the Families Together Act moving forward. It's just the project is so much more complicated than just that, and I am seeing individual pieces trying to deal with things. There's the bill in Congress on the dealing with people who are here on temporary protective status, the bill that was introduced in the House. So there are lots of individual bills that are doing the right thing. I would like to see clear messaging about this is why it's important, this is what American values are, and this is how we support them. And pulling together these many items, it's important that the American people hear it. I can't reach them. I can integrate what's happening for myself, but I cannot communicate that to the broader audience. Senator Feinstein, from her position on the judiciary, Minority Leader Pelosi, from her position in the House, can help pull together. Chuck Schumer, as a Democratic leader in the Senate, can help pull together a coherent strategy. This is what we are doing because it is the right thing. It's consistent with America's values. And these are values that are not Christian, they're not Jewish, they're not Muslim. They are shared values of anyone that I have dealt with. So we need that to happen. And I'm not hearing it, and it's very frustrating. And that's not to put down or denigrate the really good work individual bits of legislation are doing. But we need a more comprehensive approach, and I'm not seeing that.
Well, I think she would agree with you. I think that's the way to tackle it. She said from the beginning is a comprehensive approach. When we were talking about DACA before that, when we were talking about the immigration bill in 2013, it's always been a comprehensive approach, and especially given the current makeup of the Congress, that it's going to have to be a combination. So she 100% agrees, but on the issue at hand, I'm sure that I hear you, Paul.
Find the fucking children. Find the fucking children, she says. Anybody else have anything?
So I sent you an article a couple weeks ago in regard to China buying the Amazonian rainforest from Ecuador, and they want to buy 1/3 of, I guess, the Amazon rainforest to extract oil from it. And I'm wondering what your office can do to prevent this from happening, or to have some kind of diplomatic dialogue to get China to understand that, hey, you guys were once the #1 producer in green energy. Why is it that you are now suddenly going after oil reserves from the Amazonian rainforest that will destroy ecosystems, that will hurt the environment in many, many different ways, and also the indigenous people that haven't been actually touched by modern day society? So what I want Feinstein to do is simply send a message to China that this isn't appropriate, especially given the climate change issue. And I think, obviously, the lack of leadership that we have from the Oval Office, they feel emboldened to be able to do something like this. So
I haven't seen the article, but send me the article. I'll take a look at it. I'm not sure what we can do, but yeah.
I've been looking and trying to think of what is important to me, but the only thing I can really come up with now is my observation on what is going on. And that is that we are all tired. We're all tired of the same thing. We hear it every day. You see the same face on every goddamn news channel you go on. You see that same ugly puss on every page. It's going to be like this. So everybody's got some good suggestions. So what really are we going to do? What do we got to do to make a bang? They make some dent in their thick skins or what have you, their thick heads. It's not just, you see some of the Republican senators and some of the congressmen bleeding over, like the last, well, I can't stand that they're going to, oh damn, did they really take the kids away from their parents? Yes, they did. They did that. And they still can't get a grip on that. They're trying to balance how they can justify that, and then justify their position in supporting old Trumpy. And some of them are like going a little wacky too. So we got to remember that it's not just us who are getting tired. They're also getting tired. And I want to say, do I want to send something to her?
He's here right now to get it.
I already sent an email to her, and no, I have nothing to give him.
Okay, no, then you can talk later when we're just having.
I understand they're trying to cut Medicare and Social Security again, and what are the Democrats going to do about that?
No, you're okay. I mean, just to answer your question, what can you do? Exactly what Grace is feeling like doing. She feels like her energy and time can be better spent doing something that's what she's passionate about. Do it. That every Tuesday when I talk to you guys, it's the same thing that I say is, contact your legislative representatives. Stay informed on the issues. Try not to get too buried under the, aggressiveness of it. Yeah, but at the same time, stay engaged. Don't be deflated. Stay engaged. Lynn, to your question, Democrats will fiercely defend Medicare and Social Security benefits. The senator, for sure, would be on that side. You need 60 votes to pass it in the Senate. I mean, when it comes to, and that's a big tool. You know, when it comes to the Farm Bill and it comes to SNAP, 100% the senator does not support cuts to SNAP. So when it comes to the Farm Bill, there's been Republican members of the Senate that have expressed skepticism about it, but you need 60 votes. So I'm not confident anything that passes out of the House is an automatic, you know, that being said, but it needs 60 votes in the Senate.
Okay, anybody else have anything to send through Tom to die?
So when Mueller releases his indictment, his suggestions, can we all, as a Democratic Party, find solidarity within, if there's a blue wave, and impeach this monster, this disgrace to our nation, this disgrace to our democracy, this disgrace to our freedoms?
You're asking for the Democratic Party to come together on impeaching him? Is that what you're asking? I mean, I can elevate that message, but again, as a legislative office, we can't comment on politics. You'd have to contact the DNC.
Anybody else have anything else? Are they yet amongst themselves, the Dems in Congress, knowing and calling fascism now?
Are all Democrats united in doing that? I haven't seen it. To my knowledge, if anybody's out there using that terminology, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything else for Tomas?
I'll just say, I can hardly speak. For some reason, my throat's gone. Okay. This is not to tell Diane, but my wish is that Congress would just all walk out.
Yes.
That's it.
I mean, they know that Mitch McConnell's responsible for that 5-4 vote today, right? I don't understand, and you can communicate this, I do not understand why the Dems are still being quote-unquote civil and rule-bound. The other side lives by their own rules. They're absolutely living outside the rules and the law, and I can't for the life of me get what Democrats are doing or not doing at this point. Where's the protest? Where's the acting up? Where are the sit-ins? Where are the walkouts? I really don't get it. I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I think that there were members of the House 2 weeks ago that did go and protest outside of, I forget which office it was, but in DC there was a few, maybe a dozen House members out there. Yeah, I mean, to the degree with what you're saying, Grace, yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're all sitting out at lunch counters right now, but that there are some members out there that are doing that legwork. Either Merkley down at the border, Senator Harris went down to the border. There are folks.
But what really needs to happen now, because these are extraordinarily desperate times, is for them to do it within the walls of Congress so that it gets publicized and they make the statement that needs to be made. I almost can't take it anymore. I just think it's ridiculous.
Oh, okay. One other comment. Speaking of 5-4. There was this rather horrifying 5-4 ruling about gerrymandering. And it seems that the court played, well, there's some sophistry there. I would encourage Senator Feinstein, since she is on the judiciary, to introduce legislation amending the Voting Rights Act that makes a couple of key points. Number one, that the Voting Rights Act is intended to protect the voting rights of all Americans and all demographics, and that racial or for lack of a better term, and I'm sure there's a better term they will come up with, but that racial discrimination in districting is important, number one. And number two, that actions that de facto create misrepresentation, even if there is no malice on the part of the legislature, are nonetheless unconstitutional and must be redone. And I think that's a key thing to get the discussion up on. And with that, I'll shut up.
Thank you, my dear.
It's good to see you guys.
Hope I see you around.
Yeah. Glad I hopped over.
Okay, can I get past your leg there and get on the other side? That's all right.
Who's going to replace you?
What's that?
Who's going to replace you?
I don't know. I guess Lawrence. No, I don't know.
You're a very important person.
Well, thank you.
I know that.
Thank you.
And let me know that I know it too. Yeah.
You said you had one more thing to say. Do you want to say it now?
Last week we were talking about our favorite boy. Last week we were talking. I was talking about our favorite boy, Beauregard. You know, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions. Do you know Beauregard? His name Jefferson piece of shit Beauregard. You know Beauregard. He's named after the middle name. Was after Beauregard. He was a general in the Confederate Army. He was named after him. And you know what he did besides being in the Confederate Army? He started the KKK. So where do you think Jefferson's alignments lie? Would it be with... He's always been a racist, that's the point. He's always been a racist ever since he got into being a lawyer. His first job was federal lawyer, and he had a hard time with that one. I know, I'm not going to go on with this. I just want us to know that Jefferson is a guy who we should pick on. So I'm going to hand it on to the next guy at that.
Okay, so I want to add to this a couple of things that have happened over this past week. What about the child trying to sell water? Did you guys hear about that here in... Yeah, the permit patty scenario, and that's an example of discrimination that has been emboldened by this monster and Jeff Sessions as well. And then on top of that, we have another scenario where this fire inspector in Oakland was just doing an inspection. That's it. That's all he was doing, and he happened to be black. And they called the police on him, and they also videotaped him. These people are emboldened. This is terrorism. This is not right, and that should be stopped.
Yep, I agree.
One good bit about Permit Patty is that her cannabis company is actually basically going to go downhill because all of the dispensaries have decided not to sell her product anymore.
Yeah, and I heard that actually she wasn't really calling the police, which makes it even more evil.
Every member of Congress and number 45 took an oath to protect this country against all enemies, domestic and foreign. Now, the Constitution only names one crime: treason. And as long as they're not supporting their oath, every morning, every afternoon, they're committing treason.
Right on. Right on. Right on. It's appalling. It's all caps in the largest font. Appalling. Appalling what we are witnessing and experiencing. I am going to, though, share the positives in Amy's list because I think it's really important. And there are a few actually this time. Lo and behold.
Did you hear about the Trump State House hit by 51 health violations?
Yes, I know. Yeah. Okay, let me get back to my front page that has them all listed. Dear Amy, you should see her tweets. They have a lot of fucks in them. She doesn't put them in here, but... Okay, so... Oh, by the way, also, you know the New York Times agreed when the White House asked them not to publish Stephen Miller's audio of his interview? The New York Times agreed. So I wrote them an email, and I think everybody should. And I said, I don't care what the reason was, it's not good enough. You have lawyers if you need them. These are desperate times, and you've got to stop being the wavering newspaper. So send an email about that. Piss me off, among other things that are pissing me off. Okay, positive things. Number 44. Number 44. Oh, this is kind of a fun one. Yes, that's true. Good one. On Wednesday, Israeli officials, this is kind of hilarious. On Wednesday, Israeli officials expressed concern about the U.S. pulling out of the UN Human Rights Council, saying it will make it harder to block anti-Israeli initiatives, which U.S. membership helped to soften or fend off. Whoops! Oh, whoops! Okay, that has to be okay, and let's do number 77, 78. 77, 78. You know about the Methodist Church and sessions, right? Oh, this is a good one. Well, yeah, let me tell you, that's his church. So more than 600 United Methodist clergy and church members brought church law charges against Sessions for the zero tolerance. Oh God, I can't keep track. 57, oh, the next one, okay. Tolerance policy of separating migrant families, accusing him of violating the Book of Discipline. Sessions is charged under church law with, are you ready for this? Child abuse, immorality, racial discrimination, and quote-unquote dissemination of doctrines contrary to the standards of doctrine of the United Methodist Church.
There needs to be a moral uprising.
Yes, that's his church. Wonder what he does with that. I'm sure he's... No, Reverend Barber, by the way, if you can still get a ticket, Reverend Barber, what? Yeah, Reverend Barber, oh yeah, I sent that to everybody, but Reverend Barber, July 12th, is going to be speaking in Oakland, and if I didn't need him before, man, do I need him now. So, you have to get a ticket. I don't know if it's sold out or not, but now it's a $20 ticket. It's nothing. Okay, more positives. I do mind. Okay, so 116. 116. We're almost done anyway. Our time's almost out. 116. On Thursday, at least, you probably know this already, 10 states led by Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson said they plan to sue the Trump regime over the separation of migrant children as a result of its zero tolerance policy. But now I just look at that and I go, well, when it goes to the Supreme Court, it's not going to fucking matter. Sorry. I know, I'm a bummer. Let's see, what else?
Publishing thousands of ICE employees' personal information.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Okay, I think I've got it, and I was going to say some things about the caged youth, but I'm not. What's our time like? Okay, can read your quote.
Okay, it's from T-Pain. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's an avid resistance member, and he has a wonderful quote, and it fits in the dialogue within what we are saying, talking about fascism anyway, says if Trump does away with due processes for ICE, then ICE instantly becomes Trump's Gestapo judge, jury, and executioner. They would be free to deport anyone, especially political enemies, anytime they choose, with no court to stop them. Only a fool would welcome such fascism.
So far, he can't do the no due process, but we'll see. I'm going to read one last thing. It's an anonymous quote at the end of Amy's, and then we'll over and out. If the United States of America saw what the United States of America is doing, the United States of America would invade the United States of America. If you can, go to Barbara Lee's website and find a way to sign her petition. She's trying to get the UN to come in, which should happen, in my book. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I used to work for Barbara Lee. She's amazing. So she treated me very well.
Anybody have one last thing before we stop? Bob, you got something to say?
Yeah, but you don't want to hear.
Oh, yeah, we do. Okay. Well, wait a minute. Maybe somebody else wants to talk. Do you have anything you want to say before we over it out?
Thank you for
Yes. You're welcome. I know. I am too. I don't quite yet know how to cure myself today. Anybody else? Do you have anything you want to say? Lawrence?
Come back on Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Oh, I'm sure everybody here is going on Saturday, right? Oh, okay. Okay, all of you people inside Lawrence's phone, I don't know how you do that. You must be very, very, very tiny. And everybody who's seeing Jay's YouTube vid of today, just remember, Saturday is a big, big day, and it's going to be bigger now than it was even going to be from last week's absolutely horrific atrocities. There's you can gather at Dolores Park at 10 a.m. Or go to Civic Center at 11 a.m. People at Dolores Park are going to march to Civic Center. And there's going to be amazing speakers and an amazing coalition of all the groups that Lawrence was talking about. Maybe Tom's Gay Men's Chorus is going to sing. I would love that. We need some music. And we need some chants. I don't want to tell Steve, but somebody needs to tell him. You can tell him. We need some chants. Chants really help all of us. Just a second. But anyway, so that's where we gather, and then we're going to march to Embarcadero Plaza. Or if Steve has his way, instead we'll turn left on Market Street and march to ICE. But there will be all of this very important activist activity on Saturday. Okay, I don't have it in me to lead a chant. If somebody wants to, go for it.
When immigrant lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When migrant workers' rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When people of color are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the LGBTQ community are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When democracy is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
And that's all I have.
All right, let's over and out, okay? And thank you all. You have gotten me through, I want to say, the first stage of this nightmare. And I'm very, very, very grateful. So,
You always know where you can get a cup of coffee.
no, I thought drink. Hey, where's my drink? No.
Grace, you always say the important things that need to be said. Your voice will truly be missed, and our hearts break because we won't see you for a while, but we hope to see you soon.
No, I'm not going to change my mind, but I am going to hopefully find another place for my particular style and voice. So, I may still send you important articles or updates if you want me to. Do you want me to? Okay. All right.
Send me the email address of the New York Times.
Oh, just Google email address of the New York Times. I mean, please. Okay, so. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people, right on. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people, right on. Power to the people.